Hello and welcome back to Redirected. My name is Andrew East, and this is a show where we sit down with celebrities, athletes, and entrepreneurs to hear about their pivots and changes they've taken in life. And today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Dan Martell, and I have dug into Dan's videos for the last 6 months, and I'm really impressed with what he's putting out there. I also read his book called Buyback Your Time, which we'll link down below. It's all about how you can accomplish more in life in a more approachable way and not kind of undermine your whole goals or your personal life by spending so much time on business, or not sacrificing your business life to spend so much time on family. How can you actually achieve it all by delegating? And he does a great job of communicating this. Dan's really thoughtful, and I like his take. There's a lot of people in this entrepreneur guru space, and I think Dan actually has maybe the most balanced approach to all of it. He has 2 kids, he has a wife, and has sold several companies. And so to achieve that balance, I think, takes a lot of introspection and thought. He kind of talks us through how he reached that point, and we had a phenomenal conversation. So if you want to learn more about Dan, we'll link his information down below. But thank you for the time, Dan, and hope you enjoy this one with Dan Martell. Dan Martell, welcome to Nashville.
Thank you, Andrew. This is a beautiful place, and it's an honor. This is going to be fun. I'm excited.
The whole Martell Media Squad rolls in here, bicep veins popping, just yoked. I mean, I don't know if anybody is under 220 pounds, just straight muscle in here.
No, you would hurt their feelings if you said that. If they are, it's because they're on a cut.
Do you, I feel like you intentionally spend your time with people maybe that are different aspects of what you're striving or pushing to be. Is that right?
Yeah. The truth is I started with Sam, who runs my media team, and then he needed to staff up, and I think he just went around the gym and went, you. I'm half joking. I'm pretty sure that's how it went down. Yeah. He's like, you could probably learn how to edit. But I think, yeah, I'm definitely a person that proximity kind of influences me. Like even yesterday, on our way down here, we're flying over Nashville. So I landed in St. Louis to go visit First Form because I was like, I want to be around. I want to see this HQ, and just like what they've built. So yeah, I'm a big fan of just making sure the people around me are, that environment influences me in the direction I want to go.
Well, it's working.
Thank you.
I was looking at transformation pics of yourself.
Yeah.
Dude.
Chubby Dan, dude. Dad bod Dan.
You weighed 265 at one point?
Yeah, when I was younger, I'm a software guy. So I was writing code and eating Burger King and going out for wing night saying, can I get to 30 tonight? So I ate a lot and didn't move a whole lot. So it turns out that's not a good recipe for looking fit. But yeah, and my whole journey has been up and down, up and down. I mean, I struggled with my weight my whole life. And then last year, almost to the year, we had somebody said this crazy sentence in our office, said, there's 22 millionaires in the US, there's only 3 million people with visible abs. So if you are a millionaire with visible abs, technically you're like a unicorn. And there was just something about that I was like, because I was doing stuff like Ironmans and ultras, and like I was being active, but I didn't look the part. Yeah. So I remember calling Matisse, who's sitting there, and I said, come to the house with the camera. And we just started this journey. And I set this goal. It was kind of dumb. I was like, I think I weighed 231 at the time. The goal was 208, 90 days. Yeah, I did some quick math, pound and a half a week. I've done this before. Yeah. I'm 44, man. It turns out my body don't react the way it used to. Yeah. And I hit a plateau about 7 weeks in. And and this is the problem. The stakes I put up, if I didn't do it, was entering a fitness competition, as is in a freaking mankini or Speedo, whatever it is. Yeah. So the stakes were high, and luckily I ran into some crazy-looking dude at the gym named Alan, and he had that like Superman physique. Yeah. And I said, dude, I have an issue. Could you help me? And he looked at me, and he literally goes, take your shirt off. Take my shirt off. He goes, yeah, I could. I said, what do I need to do? He said, but he's like very serious because, people like that, like fitness like he's an IFBB pro kind of. Right. He's like, will you do everything I say? I say, you don't know me, but trust me to the T. And I just followed it. Really? Yeah. And I'm talking business trips, ski trips, vacations, like that 90-day window that I did this thing. And I documented the whole thing. So it's on my YouTube. I think it's like some clickbaity title, like how to get abs in 90 days or something, Dan Martell. Yeah. And my wife was like, are you really, you're not going to eat tonight. We're going out to some fancy dinner. You're not going to eat. You're going to eat your food. Like I would eat before I went out and then just sit there and like just enjoy the conversation.
It's interesting. So that type of discipline, is it only selectively applied? I feel like one of my strengths actually is to be able to do, if someone gives me a nutrition program or a fitness program, I'll be able to do 85% of what's prescribed for my whole life. Whereas I have friends or even my brothers will like be really, really intense, but only in short phases. And so I feel like it ends up, we can
just pause and edit.
Yeah, we can.
You're really big, okay? We can see you. He does this on camera sometimes, and all there is this like hand that comes in frame, and I'm like, Sam, now you have to introduce yourself. There's 700 people watching. Get in here and say hello. I did it to him 3 days ago.
Is it the table is the problem or what?
Yeah, it's like a little bit.
Yeah, we'll blame the
You're
table.
really big.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No, it's good now.
Yeah.
It's like, don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Smash.
Be quiet like mouse.
All right, let's
Sam.
reset.
Yeah. So that they'll be selectively super intense with their discipline, and I'm not sure which ends up paying off more dividends, like the 85% for life or the 100% in short stints. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think. Well, so what I've discovered is consistency becomes the foundation for winning. Like most people could win; they have the skill to win. They know what they got to do. They have the opportunity. They're in the environment. But what they do, and if you think about it, even for myself, it was 70% of the time, 85% of the time, I was good. But then carpe diem, YOLO weekends come around and it's like stuff your face. So it's like you work out Monday, Tuesday, maybe you skip Wednesday, Thursday, skip Friday, like, and the results don't show up. You're not losing, but you're not winning. So it's kind of like, I think 80% is good, but the last 20%, if you dial that in, that's where the greatness comes from. That's where the results come from. Like I work with a lot of business people and I'm just watching them and I'm like, if you just got rid of this one thing, you'd have 10 times bigger business.
Yeah.
And they're like, really? And I'm like, I know it sounds subtle, but it's just like, if you just take back Saturday, Sunday and stick to what you did Monday to Friday, all of a sudden now you got visible abs, you got a bicep vein. I mean, we joke about, calf veins is like the next level.
Yeah.
But that's all it was for me, was just making a decision to go that extra mile. But yeah, 85%, even in your life, like that's how you win. It's that consistency.
So I'm curious from a fitness, I'm kind of a closet meathead myself.
Yeah, I can tell by your quads. Yeah.
I know you eat only 6 to 6. Is that right?
Yeah.
What does your nutrition look like? I also want to know about your fitness routine.
Well, I love the question. One thing people learn because I wrote the book Buy Back Your Time is I don't keep anything I don't need to do.
Okay.
So I've deferred all of those decisions.
Great.
So Alan's my trainer, so he figures out my meal plan based on my goals. We focus on macro-based nutrition and then progressive overload training style. That goes to Betty, who manages my home life. So she's our house manager. I know this sounds very privileged. I understand what I sound like, but I'm just, that's what it is. And I wrote a book on it. Yeah. The last chapter is called The Buyback Lifestyle. And I talk about these kind of nuances. Cause again, some people have the means and they just they've never learned about it or heard of it. So they don't know they could do it that way. So Alan talks to Betty, Betty talks to the chef does the meal prep, and all my meals are made for me. So like, I don't know. People are like, what are your macros? I'm like, don't know. I know where to go look if I wanted to know, but I just know that this is my food and this is what I eat. So like I've got my meal prep in a bag, in the car. So like, yeah, 6 to 6, lots of protein. Right now I'm on a cut, so cut the carbs at dinner time. So no more carbs. And it's kind of funny because they're building blocks. Like I've been doing this for a year, so I've seen how he does it. He just like, all right, we're going to pull that sweet sticky rice in the afternoon snack away and we're going to replace that with this. Yeah. And so they're just building blocks and we just kind of zoom up and zoom down. I just find it fascinating how sensitive our bodies are. Yeah, he can do something day one. The next morning I see it or I feel it, right? Yeah. And I'll feel it in the gym or I'll see something different in kind of the body composition. So
it's almost like the opposite of the law of diminishing returns. It's like, I feel like when you get your nutrition specifically dialed in, like it makes a huge impact out the gate. But then when you really start tweaking little things, when you're whatever percent body fat, like 5% body fat, is that
right
what
now? I'm probably about 9 to 8.
But then you really start feeling like every difference in what you eat. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, the sensitivity goes up, and that's why like when we have a fitness program now we launched with Alan. This guy, he transformed my life, and I was like, dude, I want to bring this to the world.
Yeah.
And the first part is actually a 16-day cleanse.
Yeah.
And I remember asking him, like, I just followed everything he did and didn't ask any questions. But afterwards, I was like, why do we do that? And he goes, to get your body ready for the food. So we almost have to go through a detox cleanse to reset your stomach, your whole thing. Then when we introduce the food, it hits, and then he can start to play with it. And you just tell him, like, every morning, still today, check in. I mean, this is how crazy it is. I weigh myself every day. So I'm at a hotel. They don't have a scale. I buy a scale. It goes to my hotel. Yeah. Now I'll take it back, and I probably have a stack of scales. You know, it's like an $18 Walmart scale, and it's not necessarily is it accurate. It's more the consistency. You know, so like I check in. I tell him how I feel. I tell him how I feel. I looked. We go work out, and he just uses that to calibrate everything. Yeah. But we do blocks. We do training blocks. My splits. I don't know what the splits are because even that it's in an app. So I use this app Trainerizer, and I open up like I was training yesterday at First Form. My buddy Ben Newman, and he's like, what are we doing? I was like, click.
Yeah, that's great.
Back and buys. He's like, sounds good to me. International back and buy days.
Is it mostly like CrossFit stuff, or is it
more
powerlifting?
It's progressive overload.
Okay, gotcha.
It's bodybuilding right now.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I do. So essentially this year, and it's something I teach people, like if you hire a coach, just follow what they say.
Yeah.
You know, do you know how many people I work with and they're like, okay, I heard what you said, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to tweak it. I'm like, dude, model what I tell you.
Yeah.
And once you get a result, then you can modify.
Yeah.
But if you don't model and it doesn't work, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
So like, even though and this is crazy, I don't even do creatine. Like people go, I remember seeing YouTube influencer guy, Dr. Mike, and he goes, TRT looks good on you. And I said, actually, all natural. And I don't even I don't try to fight with all the people on the internet that think that. I said, I don't even take creatine.
Wow.
Which is kind of crazy because I also am very self-aware that it is the number one supplement everybody should take for your brain, for your body. Like it's the one that everybody agrees upon. But again, Alan goes, no, dude, Whole Foods, dude. We don't need it. He goes, if you push on leg day, it will create the response you need and you eat the food, then you're good. So I said, 12 months, I will model.
Wow. And
he's been right, but I'm going to start creatine like December. Enough.
I like creatine.
I do too, man. It makes me stronger. It makes me feel a little fuller. Yeah.
So for our listeners, apply the buyback your time concept. You said you don't deal with nutrition. You don't deal with the coaching.
Even today, you asked me like, what's the schedule? And I got to go look at Sam. I don't manage my calendar. So the philosophy I have, and it came from massive pain, like everything, if the person I am today is 100% a response of me not understanding how to do what I do, and pain from business to my health, to my relationship with my wife. Like even the relationship side, and we'll come back to the buyback principle. A lot of people say that they gotta find their person, their relation. You know, I'm gonna find the perfect relationship. Dude, it is built. I don't know about you, man, but like there was a person I married and person I dated, then we got married, honeymoon phase. And then it turns out you got to do some work. Like I think you actually find the perfect person to be that mirror for you.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not that it's like feels like hard work. It just requires some like tweaks and concessions and stuff. And I think that relationships are built.
Yeah.
They're not found. You know, you might find somebody that is the foundation, but then they're going to show you where you're not free. Right. Yeah. Like that's the most beautiful part about it. So what happened is the buyback principle, which is in business, you don't hire people to grow your business. You hire people to buy back your time. Because if you don't do it that way, you'll end up building a prison, you know, like you grow up, you wake up one day and you got 13 people working for you and you hate your life because you're just like trying to keep everybody busy.
Right.
So that's not the way to do it. So I always start with my calendar. My calendar is almost like the source of truth. How do I feel about the stuff in my calendar? Like, do I look at it and I go, oh yeah, you know what I mean? Like today, I was like, yeah, okay, Andrew, fun. Yes, this. There was a day where I used to open it up and go, oh. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people live in that space, right? And then it's a question of maybe you can't afford to buy back your time, but you can at least take control of it. You can ask yourself, like, did you feel better after you went to the gym? Maybe prioritize that.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. So that's where that came from. And just, I've always been fairly ambitious. So I never wanted to feel, I'm lucky that a long time ago, I learned that if I want more, it's 100% of my control. And if I don't have it, it's because I'm not good enough yet. And it's the comma yet. And that's like, if you meet my kids, you'll hear them use that language because it's probably the most important thing I've ever taught them. Yeah. It's like, I'm not good at soccer yet. So I had to figure all the stuff out in the book to keep building the stuff I wanted to build, to be the dad I wanted to be the husband I wanted to be the brother, you know what I mean? So that's where it came from.
I have to say, I've been so delighted digging into your book, your videos. There's not a lot of online business entrepreneurs who have had the success you have had who have the balance that I strive to have with a family life. There's a lot of people that say, go all in on business. I don't want kids. You know, it's a distraction.
Yeah.
But you seem to have a decently well-rounded perspective on things. Has that always been the case?
No.
Would you say your relationship with your wife and kids is good now? It's like,
so we'll rewind to 20. Dan at 27, 100-hour weeks working. Okay. I had only one gear, which is get stuff done. I didn't know any other way. Nobody ever showed me any other way. I was so worried the thing that I'd built was going to just fall apart. So I'm like running around spinning plates, just hoping that something doesn't break, or when it did break, I mean, not know and overreact. And it's like, you know, you treat everything like it's a crisis and honestly, just through pure brute force, it worked. Became a millionaire at 27, multimillionaire at 28 when I sold the company. Cool. Now I got all this money. It turns out I'm not any happier. So that's interesting. At the time I was with somebody, that relationship absolutely fell apart. What was crazy is that while I was building it, I actually told myself I was sacrificing for us, which is a lie because she never asked me for any of it.
Yeah.
So that one, that's, if anybody's listening and you're hustling for your family and you're sacrificing and you're not there. Dude, I had a guy once say to me, I think I wrote about it at the end of the book because it impacted me so much because it was one of those things where he said, I wish I would have learned the buyback principle sooner because when I was early in my marriage with young kids, he said that, I think his kids were like 2 and 4. And the business he was in kind of took a nosedive. And he knew what he had to do to fix it. But it was going to require that he was gone in the morning and home late. And he had a conversation with his wife. And he said, babe's like, we're not in a good spot. I'm going to go fix it. But for the next 2 years, I'm probably not going to be here when you wake up or when you go to bed.
Yeah.
And he told me he didn't see his kids for almost 2 years.
That's a golden age too. 2 to 4.
Dude, you get it, man. You're in it. Like that's like, and I was like, and he read the book, or no, this is before the book even came out. And he goes, it's because I just didn't know a better way. And that was me. And after that experience, I almost didn't start another company because I had PTSD. I go, if this is what it takes, I think I'll just put my money in low risk stuff and just chill out.
Yeah.
And I kind of did. I took probably like 2 years of just, you know, I moved to San Francisco. I started doing angel investing, but I didn't push, you know, I was scared to push. And that's where like the concepts of the buyback principle and the 1-3-1 rule and the replacement, like all these things that I finally wrote about, because it was almost, I just felt inauthentic. Like I like to push. But at the same time, I was scared I was going to hurt somebody else. Like I was going to get another relationship and just be completely, you know, all like just not like it was. I couldn't even imagine what it was like going to dinner with me back then. Like it must have been the weirdest thing, just sitting there going like, you're not here.
Yeah.
Right. Because my brain's like, what did I forget to do? Is this going to happen? Does this person know that? And know the client, I forgot to sign this. And So I kind of probably overcorrected to the other side, where today, if it's not spending time with people I love, family members, friends, or doing the thing that absolutely lights me up that I have to do, I just say no.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Is there an area in your life that is not flourishing right now?
I would say, I mean, my expectations for my life are pretty high, so I can see opportunity in everything. I mean,
well, wait, let's dig into that, because I actually think you talk about faith.
Yeah.
And I actually think this correlates a bit, where it's, you're saying you see opportunity in everything.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean everything's going well, but expand on that, because that's fascinating to me.
Okay, so let's start with the faith thing. So I've had moments where I feel absolutely one with God. And then those moments are fleeting. And I think to myself, man, what would my life look like if I'm always in that energy, that feeling? And there, like, even a couple nights ago, I posted on my Instagram, I walk out my patio and I look out, and it's just one of those, like, you know what I mean? When nature just shows off.
Yeah.
Like, and I just took a video and I was like, because some people don't believe, and I get it, they don't have faith. And I kind of laugh. I'm like, do you think this is random? Because I'll tell you what random looks like: a pile of dirt. Okay. If you build a house in the woods and you come back in 1,000 years, I'll tell you what you'll find.
Yeah.
It just disintegrates.
Right.
Like, nature is God showing off.
Well said.
So I think to myself, well, what would that feel like? And then what's the journey I got to go on? So, I'm always talking to people that I think have incredible relationships with Jesus or faith or spirituality. And so actually, when I get back from this trip, I'm home for a couple days, and then I'm going for a 5-day silent retreat by myself in a van with no phone, no nothing.
In a van?
Yeah, I'm going to do van life. It's also part of my other philosophy, which is, if you want to grow, you got to do the opposite of who you are. I'm a bit of a talker. I like people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is comfortable. So here I am going to go the complete opposite.
Yeah.
But the 2-part kind of outcome for me to do that is to just be with God and also be with me.
Yeah.
Like, you ever see those guys go in those caves, these like 4-day, I don't know what they call them, but it's like they go like light deprived. They're in a cave, the door closes, the food is given to them. They're there for 4 days in pitch dark. So essentially they're there in their mind for 4 days.
That sounds like heaven to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude. That freaks me out.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, I gotta be with me for 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But I mean, those are like, I'm always trying to find opportunities to just, not because I can't be grateful for what I have, because I am, not because my relationship isn't beautiful, because it is, but because I know there's a possibility for better, that I just want to, if I'm going to be awake, I want to do something that I might be able to improve upon. So the faith, the relationship, my fitness, my business stuff. I see opportunities in everything.
So when I ask, is there an area that's not thriving? Your answer is no, because it's all on track to thrive. It's not thriving maybe yet like you expected to. Or?
I would say no, because every day I'm very intentional about spending time on them. So I don't sacrifice. I think there's, somebody said once there's rubber balls and glass balls.
Yeah.
And like certain things you can let go and they'll bounce, or it's okay. But like your marriage, that's a glass ball.
Right.
You don't put that at risk of dropping and shattering all over, because you think you don't have time right now. Wait till you got to go through a divorce that's so. Yeah. Every day I have practices that keep things, that, let's call it 85%.
Yeah.
But I like to spike, so life is a marathon with sprints.
Yeah.
And then what's cool is the more you spike, or what I consider, my coach, this guy, Ed Milet, he talks about that your capacity is expanded at your extremities. So if you're an extrovert and you like to talk, well, what is the polar opposite of that? 5 days by yourself in the woods.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I don't want to do it, but I know that at that extremity, there might be something for me to learn.
Yeah.
Relationship. My wife and I, we do a seminar every year. some kind of personal development seminar as a couple. We do couple retreats. So like we've built these rhythms so that things can't go off track. Every week we sit down, we have like this family meeting, we call it. And the first question is, how have I been as a husband for you?
Yeah.
And my only reply, Andrew, when she gives me that feedback, and trust me, hers is very detailed and very like, Sunday you did this and Tuesday you did this, is thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, man, she's showing me where I'm not free right now because I can't believe, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so because we do that, things can't like off track. I mean, it can not be the best week, but it's not like we're not good.
Right.
Yeah. So that's kind of the way I think about it.
That's really powerful. There are so many concepts you talk about that resonate so deeply with me, and I love how you speak about them. One thing for those listening that have not listened to Dan's breakdown of your calendar.
Yeah.
Dude, you call it the front preloaded?
The preloaded year.
Preloaded year.
Yeah, I'll show you mine after if you want. It's pretty cool. It's
would
a work
love
of
to.
art.
I actually I came across that as I was studying, because my take, we're writing this book on commitment. Again, like I think so many people have these wonderful ambitions, but maybe they get spooked because it's like, I'm not there. I've been doing this for a year and I haven't accomplished this yet. And it's like the yet part is really important to your point. And it's like, hey, if you just stick to this, the consistency will pay off. It's like compounding interest and finances. We kind of understand. It's still, they say at 50, maybe we realize the benefits of that. But I think compounding in all areas of life, friendships, marriage, parenting, it applies. And just the human brain does not do a great job at conceptualizing. Like, hey, if I just show up as a dad and am present, it might not feel good all the time, but those daily deposits as a father will pay off over time. Totally. So we're doing this book, and then I was trying to work on this project of what would it look like to like take someone's year goals and then have like a survey, essentially break it down into all these kind of recommended daily. Yeah. And so it's like even the best practices of, they say you need to spend 90 minutes of quality time with your wife a week, 150 minutes exercising. And it's like the calendar kind of just does it. So it takes all these prescribed things and kind of slaps it on there. But you talk about this, and I think it's really, really powerful. I also have some ideas of yours that I am personally challenged by, and I want to kind of press into a little bit, because the 3 outcomes you say of when someone is looking to grow, or they're on like the decision point, is you can either scale your company, sell your company, or sabotage. Is that right? Stall. Sorry.
I don't want to grow.
Yeah.
Sabotage.
Yeah.
Make decisions. I call it sabotage is manufacturing a situation that fails to make it not your fault.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But it is your fault because you manufactured the situation. And then sell is just get out of it.
Because I'm at this point. I got 3 young kids.
Yep.
And I'm like, our whole thing this year is kind of right sizing our ambitions. I have this ravenous ambition that thankfully Sean used to have, but she's very much kind of mellowed out on that.
Yeah.
And I'm challenged by, like, am I sabotaging this? Because there's so much potential. I freaking love it all. So
yeah. Let me share a few perspectives, right? The ambition is required, and it's present because you have a relationship with God, and He has a vision for your life, and He created you in His image, and you see what He like. That's what I always go back to that. I wake up every day to try to be the best version of myself, my 10.0 version of myself, and I may never achieve it, because think about like your most powerful, kind, graceful, communicative, energetic. Like if you took the best moments in your life and put it all into like an hour times the whole day, that would be essentially, I think, what God sees as your potential.
Okay.
So I wake up every day to try to be that, or try to improve it. That's why you asked me, like, like all these rituals are like, why do I do these things? It's because I'm just trying to figure out like where's my shadow side, and I got to do that work to kind of shine that light. And then my other philosophy, because I think this is where fulfillment comes from, and this is an example of it, is to share yourself with the world. Like, and that's what you're like, I see what it could be. I know what the potential could be. I know the impact it could have, But at the same time, I've got to resolve I'm also in a relationship and there's a family and there's feelings and there could be conflict between my aspiration for this and also the other desires of my partner. I mean, when I started my media company, I had to ask my wife because I knew what it was going to require. It was going to require me kind of giving up my privacy, and it's not like I can just like shield her off from that.
Right.
And those are the kind of conversations. But here's what I would encourage people listening or yourself to consider is you can have it all. There is zero, like I could show it to you. I can prove it to you. I can show you the math. I can show you the structure. I can show, like, it's all there. If we don't, it's because we don't know how. And that is it. So just know that you should and you could, and I think you will. I think you actually are incredibly talented. I mean, dude, like there's no, but again, just follow, like, not to plug my own book. I don't care. Like, we talked about the book Economics. It's not going to make me rich, but it's the process of saying, here's my calendar.
Yeah.
These are non-negotiables. And guess what? And this is what's crazy. People don't think about it. Because I've delegated my calendar to somebody else, which is my executive assistant, like 100%. When I have an executive assistant, yeah, but do you put stuff in your calendar? Well, yeah, of course. I don't. Yeah. If we agreed to do something next year, you're like, Dan, come, next year at this time, it's best time to be in Nashville. And I go, oh, I want to do that. I text my assistant, and then she doesn't even put it in the calendar. She puts it on the review list because, and so I've built this system, the preloaded year, the perfect week, even just the travel schedule, some other stuff I didn't get to put in the book because it would be just like a university textbook of time management, and nobody would read that, but I'll show it to you.
Please.
And that's allowed me to avoid the conflicts. Mm-hmm. Like, I have one of my friends, it's one of my best friends. Man, he spends 30% of his time just fixing the problems he creates because he doesn't write stuff down.
Yeah.
So like just the fact that he does not schedule anything, 30% of his time is eaten up fixing the problems that are created because he's not a little bit more organized. Right. So when he's like, man, and he actually had this conversation with me, he's got, 3 young girls, beautiful family. And he's like, I want to go to the next level, but this is funny because we're hiking. He goes, and he's here, right? Multi-million, but he wants to go here. And he goes, but the reason I want to go there is so then I have the resources to spend time with my family a certain way. But technically I could do that now.
Yeah.
So why would I give up that now to get to a place to do it later when I could just accept it now? And I was like, dude, you can have both. You're just not good enough. Like, I love you, but I'm telling you, you're my friend. You see me do this every day. We vacation together. This is not, you're pretending you don't see what I do. And you know that both are, you could have more time. This is crazy. People don't want to hear this. You could actually be richer and have more time back at the same time. And they're like, well, that sounds like a pipe dream. I'll show you. It's the math. The math. Look at me. Tell me what your hour's worth. Okay. Yesterday I was talking to a woman. Okay. She does 10 million a year in her business. And then she says, I think she said it and wish she wouldn't have said it. She goes, but I still write our daily email. Okay, excuse me. Can you do some math on your hour? Do you know what your hour's worth? She's like, what do you mean? I said, well, you do 10 million a year. You're the CEO. Divided by 2,000, that's the amount of hours in a year. I think the math works out to 5,000. Okay, so are you so special? Like you're this magical copywriting ninja. Like you must be the best copywriter, and that email must make you like $100,000 every time you hit send because you're investing $5,000 to write an email.
Right.
Why?
Right.
So don't tell me you don't have enough time for your kids or to work out or whatever. Like the math isn't mathing, and now hopefully you see it. Like you just got to work through the calendar that way.
What do you mean when you tell your friend he's not good enough?
That he doesn't know how to build and lead his team and even be present. He's addicted to the distraction is what it was. I mean, he didn't ask me to coach him, so I got to be careful. I don't coach people that don't pay me because they don't want to hear it. I just want to at least give him a lens to look at he brought up I want to do this, but I don't know how.
But you don't mean that. I think what you're saying is actually incredibly powerful and empowering. It gives individual agency of like, hey, it's not that you'll
You
never
can
be
do
good
it.
enough.
No,
It's
no,
like
you
right
just
here,
don't
just
know
gotta,
now.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Is you're
Yeah.
just not good enough yet.
Yeah.
You don't know how yet.
Yeah.
You've blocked off searching for a solution because you don't think it's possible. I've done it several times. Like he's been friends with me for 20 years. He's watched me build companies in 12 months that's bigger than where he wants to go. And he's been in business for 15 years.
Yeah.
Back to back to back. And it's not because I'm special. I wrote about it. I literally, when I wrote that book, I had 25 names I wrote down. And if you haven't thought of this for your book, I think it's the best way to write a book. 25 names of people I love. Okay. And I wrote the book thinking to myself, did I overcome their objection? But Dan, you're special. Here's why I'm not. But Dan, you understand systems. Here's why you can too. Like I wrote the book to essentially, and I used their stories and I changed their name. So in the book, all the names, it is a real person. It's a real story. I just had to change the name so they were still friends with me because they'd probably be like, yo, bro, especially if I thought if it did well, like the last thing they want is for me to, talk about Stewart or whoever. Like, so, because these are characters now that people mention to me. But so like I wrote the book for him. He's 100% in there.
Yeah.
And if he did it, he would have both. He would have more time today. And this is the thing, if you have a family that I want people to understand, it's not about making more money. It's about presence. Because I don't have to think of open loops. I'm here with you.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to look at the time or what, like, I don't care. Like, I have one job, which is to be where I'm at and share from my heart and let God work through me and all that stuff. And I just think
which I think that applies to everybody.
Everybody has it. Yeah. Everybody has it and could have it. And it is the most beautiful thing when they feel it. When you actually, and here's how I'll give people a glimpse of it. Take everything that's in your brain, write it down on a piece of paper. Like just dump it all out. Yeah. Everything. And then put the paper to the side. That's how I live my whole day.
Yeah, it's great.
It's fun. It's awesome. And anytime I can't live like that, it's very jarring. It's like me eating sugar. I'm like, ooh, feel that.
Yeah. Is defining enough, does that resonate with you? Like, hey, this...
When's enough?
Is like, this is a finish line for me. Or...
No. So I love that question. It's such a great question because in the beginning of the Bible, God talks about creating the world. Like when is enough? He's a creator. He created us as to create. He didn't say create until. He said go out and create.
Yeah.
So there's no like the enoughness. So what's funny is because I've studied this. Like I'm a deep student. I've read probably 200 books just on the mind. Okay, so the concept of enough, people have that feeling or say to themselves, well, I'm like, I don't need that. I don't need that car. I don't need that house. I don't need the plane. I don't need, like, they say that to themselves because they're chasing those things to feel a certain way. So somebody, like, I remember one time I was coaching this woman and, she was probably doing $3 million in business, which is awesome, dude. Self-made, $3 million in revenue, retired her husband. I was like, I wish my wife would retire me. You know what I mean? I was like, nice job. And I said, what's the plan? What do you want to build? She goes, 100 million. I said, by when? She goes, 5 years. I said, cool. I said, why? She goes, so then I could tell him F you. And she says it with just like this, like this. I go, huh. Do you realize how rare you are right now? She goes, what do you mean? I said, female entrepreneur, self-made. You built it in like 2 years, literally 3 million in 2 years. Have you Googled that percentage of women-founded companies that get to 2 million in revenue? Have you ever? No. Well, let me tell you, because I kind of know the numbers. It's 0.001%. Who you need to tell F you?
Yeah.
You've already done it. As soon as I said that, man, she got like, she broke down. She's like, did I do it? I was like, you already did it.
Yeah.
That's the problem with wanting stuff, is if you do it to fill the hole of not enoughness, it'll never be enough.
So what's your inspiration?
My inspiration is I don't need anything. I don't need anything, dude. I flew here on my jet. I don't care. Take it away from me tomorrow. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to do the exact same thing I did today.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my morning routine. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to meet with people. I'm going to try to add value. I'm going to try to be better. Like, the stuff is not the point. I get it though, because I also mentor a bunch of youth and I show up in supercar by design. Like, I'm very aware of why I'm doing it. When I show up to a recovery center, you know, in a Lamborghini SVJ, because that's their favorite car. Okay. I don't open up my mouth and they're paying attention. And now I can pour into them. So I understand where the stuff is useful, the symbols, right? Yeah. I understand the awards, the recognition, the trophies. I get that. Hopefully people understand that that is not the thing that they think they do it for. So think about this. Like, it's so crazy. So I coach a guy probably doing like 50 million in revenue. And when I work with people, step one is, let's talk about what you could create. I want to dream. Most people don't even allow themselves to dream. Inspired vision, right? Connect inward. Let's talk. Okay, here's what he wants to create. The next call, this is how I start. You know that list we made? He's like, yeah, man, I feel so energetic. I'm really excited. I want to work with you. This is what we're doing. I go, that's a criteria list that you made up to give yourself permission to feel fulfilled. Now I'm going to show you how to feel that without that. Mm. Once I believe you're there, then we build. Mm. And guess what? That will be 10 times easier. Dude, he had on his list 25 years from now, sell his company for $250 million. 4 months later, he signs the doc. Literally just happened November 1st.
So
he's a real person.
Contentment is like a real thing that you're pushing for. You're simultaneously going for like, be content, not lacking striving, but like contentment blended with ambition, blended with like.
My coach Ed says it best, and I have to give him credit every time because it's the best way. Summer, I haven't found a better way of saying it. He calls it blissfully dissatisfied.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
Be in pure bliss.
Yeah,
I am so like joy. And honestly, even if something bad happened on the way here, like I was telling you that we went and visited all your neighbors because our driver was getting lost. I was like, man, this is America. We're going to get shot. I was like, I don't need, we're like deep into some of these driveways are really long. I'm like, we got to get out of here. And at the same time, it's, be grateful for what you have, but also know that you're capable of more. That's the way I think about it. I wake up every day to just expand what's possible. And not even for this guy. I do it for little Dan.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do it for Dan. I do it for the kid I was. Because I didn't have somebody like me.
Yeah.
And, I believe that, again, I study a lot. So it's like, I've learned over the years when you study all these different kind of philosophies on life is that we're here to help the person we once were. We're here to become the person we needed most in our darkest days, man. Like, when people go, how do I find my purpose? I know where you got to go look. It sits right next to the worst thing that's ever happened to you. Mm. But you won't want to, most people won't want to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I really am so impressed. I think you do a great job at inspiring that little Dan.
Thank you.
And I don't know if there's anyone that I would endorse more that's in your space with how you communicate all this and your approach. So kudos to you. Even you mentioning Ed Milet saying the extremities concept.
Yeah. Your capacities expand at your extremities.
I feel like this is why I have kind of a gripe against people who don't have the family approach, because the extremities you experience when you got a little 1-year-old or like a screaming 6-month-old.
Dude, our kids are 11 months apart.
Dude, I can't imagine. That's uncomfortable.
I didn't know. Turns out, listen to your doctor, and you'll eventually figure it out, man. It's like,
but that the 4 a.m. ice bath is like uncomfortable. The freaking 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. screaming baby is so much more uncomfortable. And I feel like the family arena is such a powerful microcosm of.
It's the dojo, man. It's where you get to do the reps.
Dude, and if you can handle that, man, you are equipped.
But don't run from it. I mean, this is the problem with a lot of people that are like, especially men that are in business. When home isn't doing well, they hide at their office.
Yeah.
That is actually the default.
Yeah. I'm curious because I ended up going back to school. I'm getting my PhD. I'm about to start my dissertation, and I'm pumped. Some of your ideas closely correlate with what I'm looking into, which is entrepreneurs who are like the decision makers in the business. I'm curious, before and after kids, the impact on their business, because it kind of, riding the coattails of buy back your time. It's like, okay, I have so much more limited time, or I have less time now as a father. If you're like actively pursuing that, how am I making different decisions? You're either probably going to fold, or you're going to like figure out different systems that make you more efficient. But what was your experience before kids, after kids?
I think most people that before kids, okay, because I talk to a lot of young men, they go, I need to get my stuff ready. I don't want kids, like, like I'm putting that off. Maybe in my early 30s, I want to build, I want to get rich. That's the mentality that most people have is, I'll wait because I don't want it to mess with my thing.
Yeah.
Statistically, it turns out entrepreneurs with kids make more money.
Yeah.
No, I'm zero surprised. Let me tell you why. There's this thing in life called forcing functions. And forcing functions are these beautiful things that force you to do the thing you probably don't want to do. And most people, humans, the default like response to responsibility is we will do more for somebody else we'll ever do for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You'll finish that marathon if it's for your kid. You will give up halfway if it's for you.
Yeah.
So I put off. I'm speaking from experience, right? I was 31 when I had my first. I put off that desire. I wanted to make sure everything was good. A lot of, again, I can only speak as a man. I'm a man. Is we want to have everything right before we do it. And it turns out the math suggests if you front load it, then it's like back against the wall.
Yeah.
Which is I'm not saying it's not going to give you heartburn. It's probably not the best way, but it's no different than the cold plunge, right?
Yeah.
What's interesting about suffering is that it is optional. Pain is not optional. There's no person in life that goes unscathed. Like I've never met them. Even the Dalai, like all the people that are enlightened because of the pain.
Right.
They didn't just Jesus was born maybe, but even I don't think so. Like I think you get to that place.
Yeah.
The difference between suffering is purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what your children give to you.
Yeah.
Dude, when my son was born, I remember thinking to myself, I'm responsible for this dude, and it's not even him. It's who he becomes as a man and his family.
Yeah.
I remember having this like,
yeah.
Oh, snap. This isn't a company I build and sell in 7 years.
Yeah.
This is going to influence thousands of people.
Yeah.
Indirectly, directly, like, oh, I need to take this seriously. Like that was my response. I remember the moment it hit me where I'm in the hospital, baby's on mama's chest, and I'm looking and I'm like, oh, this is a way past my time here on earth.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. I think most people struggle because their timelines aren't far out enough. Most people have a hard time getting their crap together because they're thinking in the week.
Yeah.
Man, think lifetime, think multi-generational, think long term. Like think like, again, to your deposit of today has an impact in 10 years. Most people don't even know what they want to be doing in 10 years. So they don't know why they should make a better decision today.
Yeah.
Your children, I think for me, helped me realize I needed to get better for them. Again, because I think that if we are not aware of it, we'll pass along, some of the trauma, some of the experiences, and that's why I quit drinking. I quit drinking 13 years ago. And I'll never forget, because it was essentially when my wife told me she was pregnant.
Yeah.
And I just thought to myself, I don't want to propagate this.
Yeah.
Like, why would I do it? I know better. My mom's an alcoholic. Her parents were alcoholics. My dad's parents were alcoholics. Like, it ruined our family. This is silly. What are you doing? So
that's powerful. All right, last question, then we'll wrap. Your calendars. It's kind of flexing at me right now. I don't want to mess with it, but you've spent a lot of time with the media, and I'm curious what your experience with fame or celebrity has been. It's so weird. My wife, has introduced me in that
they have a
world,
day named after her, or like a dedicated. That's cool.
But what's that been like for you?
It's actually just started. So a lot of people that follow me now, when I'm speaking at a group, I'm like, how many people, in the last year? And it's everybody. So I've been online for a decade, but it was a little over a year ago where I decided, okay, if this is really important, the book comes out, I'm going to support it. I'm going to build a media company. And probably 4 months ago, it started where I was going out to the gym and I was getting stopped. And so now, and then like 2 trips ago, it was 5 times a day. Yeah. Or, we did a book meetup and 100 people came out. And I'm like, who are you people? Yeah. And they're like, we love your content. So, and it's just, and you can correlate. I mean, we get 100 million views a month right now on our content. So the math makes sense now that I think of it out loud. Like, those are real people that see the stuff. And I was that person. Right. I consumed the content. And when I finally went to the seminar or met the person or bought their book or met them in person, I'm like, you're nervous. But I'm a fan of people. I'll give them a call. I look at, again, I'm not these people. I'm just telling you, I watch the way they are with their fans and they give me the blueprint. Mm-hmm. Jelly Roll. Yeah. Lady Gaga, Joe Rogan, Gary Vee. Gary Vee is probably the biggest. I've known Gary for 17 years. So to watch him go through his rise and just continuously, I mean, I invite people to Kelowna unprompted. Like, I just like their stuff. I'm like, hey, if you ever want to come to Kelowna, hang out, stop by the studio, I'll show you what we're doing. I'll take you out in one of my cars or something. Yeah. And like, the other day I had this 23-year-old kid, Stefano Narducci from, some part of Canada where he is a 40 tractor snow removal company. Wow. Yeah. Right. Or like this other kid, Sam Dema. I was like, dude, next time I do a media tour, just fly in and come hang with us. And he hang out in the car with us and went to all the pods and the speaking. And because I just want, like, I got that from Gary. I watched Gary do it. He'd like be on stage and some kid be like, I want to work for you. And he's like, what do you do? And he's like, I'm an editor. He's like, dude, just come here and do this thing with me. And like, he just, I will always be that. I'm not that cool. Dude, I do a hike every Tuesday. It's open to the world. That's also kind of crazy. Like, a lot of my friends that have big audiences, they're like, why do you do that? I do it because a guy named Marshall Goldsmith did it for me. He wrote a book called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. I'm 28. I'm a little lost after I sold my company. And I tried to hire him to coach me. Turns out he only coaches Fortune 50 CEOs. I was not one of them. But he invited me to a hike. Yeah. So now I have this hike. So Tuesday, I'm hiking, coming down the mountain, and there's this kid standing there. And as soon as he looked up and he saw me, so essentially he missed the beginning. So he's standing there, and he immediately goes, like, I saw him vibrate, and he goes, Mr. Martell, I just drove here. He flew from Toronto to Calgary and drove 8 hours through the mountains to be there for the hike. He fell asleep in his car. He slept in his car, missed the beginning, missed the takeoff. He caught us on the way back. Yeah. And he's just nervous. And I was like, I went up to him. I put my arm around him. I said, dude, first off, I'm not that cool. So calm down. And I know, because sometimes we meet people like that and they're like really excited to see you. Their brains zero out. Right. Like, they're not there. Right. So I kind of know what they want a photo. They want me to sign a book. So I'm like, did you bring a copy of my book? He goes, yes, it's in my backpack. I was like, no problem. Well, I got to check. I'll remember for you. And then I said, do you want a photo? He's like, oh my gosh, that'd be great. I said, don't worry. Okay, I'll remember when we get at the bottom, we'll get a photo. And I was like, did you come here with questions? He's like, yes, I wrote them down. I said, pull them out, and let's just talk. Let's just hang out. And it's funny because I hike with a coffee and I have my mug, but it's got my logo on it. Yeah. And I was like, it's not weird. I don't know. I was just like, do you want this? He's like, yes. And I just put it in. I opened up his backpack. I put it in, zipped it up, and we kept going. And Dude, it was just, he was the sweetest human being in the world.
Yeah.
And I get it because I was that kid
Yeah.
that read the books and went to the events and like, so
I think that's the right use of fame though. When you use it as a conduit to connection, and it really does open so many doors. I think people get confused because it's more about money or like ego stroke or something like that. But I like how you approach it, and I also think it's really powerful. You have mentors and also those that you mentor. So anyway, Dan, this has been a treat. For those listening that want to learn more about Dan, check out his book and his YouTube channel. Buy Back Your Time is a phenomenal book. And you also have one that just came out, Software as a Science.
Yeah, so it's SaaS. But here's what I'm going to give you this. Anybody listening and just go on my Instagram. I'm trying to grow my Instagram. Team would be happy I say this. Dan Martell, 2 L's of Martell. If you follow me and message me, EA Andrew. Okay. Oh. I'll send them no opt-in, no nothing. I'm going to send them a Google Doc, which is about 40 pages. It's my internal standard operating procedure with my assistant, Ann.
Okay.
Cleaned out. I'm not going to give you my home address and stuff, but it's sanitized. But just give me a follow, message me, EA Andrew. If they don't say it, I'm not sending it over.
Great.
I'll do that for anybody that listens to the show and supports your work, and I'll give you all the other stuff.
There you go. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Dan Martell, thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks, man.